Hey there, fellows. In today's episode, let us experiment some more. Now, you might have seen a recent video of ours where we stuck some metal plates to a car and lifted it by the wheels, which was amazing. We were even able to lift the car up by just 2 of its wheels. All we did was stick some metal plates to it, and regular glue stood the test, holding over a ton using just 2 points. Nobody was expecting that sort of effect, and if that's the case that it does such a great job, the thought occurred to us to try gluing something else. Like, for example, a cylinder head. Get the idea? And so, right here we've got a car. The engine is fully functional, it starts and runs. We're going to be pulling out all of the head bolts. You know, we should also try using Caulk instead of a head gasket. We've got some windshield sealant, let's see how that behaves. If everything works out, and even if it doesn't, we're gonna take this here glue, which we've already tested before, and use it to stick the cylinder head to the engine block. See where that goes. Alright, let's do this. Fellas, big thanks for taking so many pictures with our merch. You want some drip like this for yourself? Then check out our latest collection of merch. We've got some trendy hoodies, some toasty vests, stylish hats and t-shirts, baseball caps to suit anybody's taste, mugs, stickers, and of course some goodies for your cars. Air fresheners, license plate frames, document holders, key fobs. Hit the link in the description to get yourself some Garage54 goodness. Get yourself some merch and don't forget to use the code Garage54, which is good for a solid discount. Mounting the cylinder head using Superglue, will it work? Translation and voiceover by BMI Russian. A thought occurred to us during the assembly process. We thought it'd be a good idea to try using some ratchet straps, of the type they use to secure cargo and stuff like that, to trailers and so on. So yeah, we're gonna try securing the head using those. We've already removed all of the bolts. There's not a single bolt screwed in, and the only thing holding the head on right now is these 2 lovely straps. And we're quite curious to see whether we can get the engine to run while it's like this. You see, the bolts hold the cylinder head down very firmly, much more so than such a strap can manage. In any case, we've got the gasket pinched inside there. Might as well check to see what happens. What was that? We've got a water leak. Where? It's right there. Why'd I hear a knock, though? Try again, please. Okay, now I see it. Hit it. It's not powering up anyway. Enough? Okay. Who said it's gonna start on ratchet straps? Not even close. Right, we've drained the coolant, but that's not the only fluid we've got in there. Man, if even that leaked out, given that the system isn't under any pressure. Let's not forget about the oil inside the oil galleries. That is under considerably more pressure. Screw it. Even if it does make it into the cylinders, at least we're gonna see it. Alright, let's do this. Spin the engine. Did you see what's going on with the overflow tank? It's like a freaking geyser. It starts popping when I open the throttle. What might be causing that? So 2 of them straps don't hold the cylinder head down tightly enough for the engine to start. Did you see the fountain inside the overflow tank? Yep, this isn't gonna start. And it's even spinning like an engine with no compression whatsoever. It just keeps going round and round while making horrible noises. But now comes the time to disassemble everything, give the cylinder head a regrind, and kick this off with the Caulk. Let's do this. Alright fellas, here's what's up. The cylinder head is being held in just by the caulk. You can see it very clearly. A tiny bit has been squeezed out. Some of it, I'm assuming, has also made it inside. Which makes sense, I mean, it's supposed to splatter in all directions. I expect there to be a really thin layer between the head and the block. The car has been sitting for over 24 hours, which should be enough time for the caulk to have cured. Yeah, it has to have a tight grip on things by now. Okay, then let's try firing it up. Wait, what's the point of holding it? It seems to be working. But to me it feels... It seems to run okay. If we didn't have that exhaust leak, it would be nice. Yeah, that would have been sweet. How is it that when you need it to, it never works? But when you don't, it freaking does. Anyway, the windshield sealer held up great, without even blowing out, though I'm still expecting it to burn to a crisp. Now, we all know that on the edges of the cylinders, the head gasket always has these metal rings, which are there to prevent the gasket from getting cooked, and here we quite obviously don't have those. It's still pretty amazing, though, that after applying some sealer and tightening the whole thing, it all works. With no blowout or leakage, no hissing noises. This is just remarkable. Lovely. The only real difference I could hear, you see, without the gasket, the head is gonna sit lower than usual. That's gonna increase the compression ratio, and even with that leak in the exhaust, you can still hear that the engine is running louder than it should. Anyway, that's beside the point. In the name of science, we need to keep going. So here's the plan. Given how hardcore this stuff is, let's remove all of the head bolts and start the engine once again. Now that said, we are going to remove all of them, but I do think it would be a good idea to play it safe and fit a ratchet strap like we had in the beginning. For good measure, you know, to prevent bad things from happening. Then we test to see how strong this windshield sealer actually is. It is quite sticky, I mean, good luck prying a windshield out from its frame. Alright, let's get those bolts out and start the engine. So we've activated the ignition. The starter motor has its own separate circuit. Let's try starting this. It is really struggling. You get the impression that the engine has no compression, which does actually seem to be the case. I mean, it is spinning way too freely. Plus, I saw some smoke coming out from both of the cooling system pipes. The engine does seem to be burning some of the fuel. So that's what's making it in there, but, I mean, it pretty much immediately became apparent that we've got some blowout. So it appears that the cylinder head has gotten separated, and as a result, the gases from the combustion chambers are making it into the cooling system. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious what happened here. Yeah, there it goes. The exhaust is routed through the cooling system on this one. I guess we're done. At this point, we can pretty much be sure that it's not going to start in this sort of condition. This calls for using a more durable adhesive. This wonderful Superglue. We had some fantastic results with it in that last video. That's what inspired us to try gluing the cylinder head, so let's do this. Okay, we've secured the head. After it's sat for 24 hours, we've removed the bolts. And this time we won't even be using a ratchet strap. This super glue should give us some serious adhesion. I expect this to have a firm grip on things and keep it all from falling apart. So that's what we're dealing with. I'd say we're nearing the culmination of this video. And so while it's in this state of tune, let's fire up the engine and see what happens. Whoa, what? For real? What are those noises? It's jumping? We've got an oil leak. Really? I mean, seriously? Should have put a gasket on there. Okay, so the super glue has failed us. But I mean, what can you do? Turns out that super glue is not fit for the task. But let's imagine for a second that we don't have a head gasket, but we still need to start the engine somehow to drive at least a short distance. We could try cutting a gasket out from cardboard, I guess. Hey, it's worth a shot, so let's try it out. Okay, everything is in place. We're looking good. You would have seen us applying a generous amount of lubricant for the gasket to stick. We've tightened all of the bolts down. The engine is fully assembled. We've set up the cooling system, so that's up and running. We have high hopes for this actually working. So far, only the glass sealer did. And even that was with all of the cylinder head bolts in place. Okay, let's try starting this. Hopefully the cardboard also works. We were expecting the super glue to work, but hey, it didn't for whatever reason. Okay, let's try this out. I wanted to joke about a fart to guide the way when it actually blasted one. Now we're on track. We were testing the durability of the exhaust. All it took was swapping over a couple of wires. Terrific. Well, it seems to run fine. Amazing. We weren't wrong to bet on the cardboard. We do have some noticeable blow-by, but okay. It's understandable. Time to check the oil, see what's in there and how much we got. This does call for some driving. To check if the coolant is going to contaminate the oil, or vice versa. Whether we see something blowing out or burning out, how much we got in there? Slightly over max level? Okay, good. Let's remember that. Now we start the engine, let it warm up, and head out for a drive to see whether this gasket is able to keep it together for a couple of kilometers at least. We need to know if this is a viable option for an emergency. Let's get out there. We are looking good. Don't shake the car. All right. The testing begins. Let's go. Bless you. We are moving. And that is good. Everything is working just like it should. Well, at least the engine is. It's doing just fine. Unlike the suspension on this thing. Okay, so the goal here is to test the cardboard head gasket. So far, so good. It drives great. I should probably just keep it in first, to keep the engine at higher revs. Okay, I see smoke. But what's causing it? I see two possible answers. So first off, that might be the leftover lubricant burning away. No, actually make that three. It might also be the cardboard. Or the engine is toast. I seem to be low on gas. Oh wait, there we go. The light just went off. Did it come on because I was driving on that slope? Seems like a bit of a stretch. This is a Lada after all. Now we're coming up to a light off-road section. Come on now. Fantastic. Lovely. Look at all of this mud. No surprise with how rainy it has been. Wow, the engine isn't even overheating. Look at that. What does that tell us? If it so happened that there was no pressure inside the cooling system, the engine would have gotten really warm really fast. But the gauge seems to indicate that we're good. That's nice. At the very least, that means that the cooling system works, if we were to trust the gauge. After a lap around the complex, we are covering ground. And that's it. We've stalled. Okay, things are really not looking good. That's as far as it's gonna drive. Time to call in a tow truck. All right, well, after a couple of laps, each of them about 1 kilometer long, if I'm being generous, here's the situation. From where I'm standing, I don't see any oil or coolant leaking from under the cylinder head. However, when I took the lid off the air cleaner, there's emulsion coming through the breather tube, meaning we have water in places where it shouldn't be. There's water splashing out with the gases. Let me just remove and examine this spark plug. This one looks alright. No, I spoke too soon. If we take a closer look at this plug, see how the soot has been washed away? There's water in that cylinder. Furthermore, remember how the oil used to be nice and clean? Let's have a look at the dipstick. It's contaminated. Look at how much the oil level has risen. And that tells us what? That the coolant has found its way into the motor oil. And that is never a good thing when oil is mixed with water or antifreeze. Yeah, the cardboard gasket has failed, as did the sealer and the superglue, though that last one we hoped would stick the head on to the point where you can't even pry it off. I guess it's just not ideal for bonding two metals. Plus, you can imagine how much force the pistons exert on the way up when squeezing the air-fuel mixture. The cylinder head is gonna take quite a hit. And especially when the mixture is ignited, that is gonna be a monstrous hit. No wonder it got torn off. Now, somebody did tell me that there are sealers out there that can actually take it, but now I find that quite hard to believe. Right, fellas, you've seen it all with your very own eyes. You're better off going with OEM. And that's all I have for you. Watch us, subscribe, suggestions, comments, give us a big thumbs up. All right, catch you later. But this engine has to be revived.